All right, one of the most important topics for you the remainder of the year and going forward is going to be knowing how to figure out slope. Okay, slope is again what the line is angled at. If you think about ski slopes, steeper versus shallower, how they're rated if you've ever been skiing, it makes a big difference. Okay, the slope makes a big difference. Again, that's why it's called the slopes, is because of the angle. So the most important thing to know is the formula. Slope is usually abbreviated with the letter M. Okay, that's because S is used so many other places, seconds for instance. And all you do is you subtract the Y coordinates and then you subtract the X coordinates. Y's go on top, X's go on the bottom. Rise over run. Maybe I've given you that equation already. It's not terrible to have that written in other spots. Rise over run. How far up and down? How far left and right? So if you look at the first question, it says estimate the slope. We really have no idea how to do that. It would just be a complete guess what you think the slope is. It doesn't even go through 2 points, but it is close to 2 of them. The 2 that it is closest to are these 2. So I'm going to figure out the slope saying it goes through those 2 points. It is lower than this one. It is higher than this one. So I think that'll be a good estimate. And I'm going to use that equation I just gave you right above, right? I'm going to subtract the Y coordinates and then I'm going to subtract the X coordinates. So let's look at the Y's first. In order to do that, we have to figure out which numbers are the Y's. First number or second number are the Y's when you write a point. The second, right? That has to go on top. If not, every one of your answers is upside down. So I'm going to subtract those 2. Now the order doesn't matter. I can do 2 minus a -6. I can do -6 minus 2, but you got to do the x's the same. So I'm just going to do 2 minus a -6. That also means then I have to start up here and go 5 minus a -4. So now how do I solve that? What is 2 minus a -6? Why? 2 negatives in a row will always make a positive. That's true for both of them. So the slope is 8/9 if it would go through those 2 dots. So that's a pretty good estimate. I can prove it's an estimate by putting the little squigglies in there. It means approximation. So around 8/9. If you said 1, that was probably a pretty good guess. It's a little less than 1. But that is the slope formula. That'll work true for any of them. Question number 2. Why? Would you read that, please? Yes.
For each scatter plot, decide if there is association between the 2 variables and describe the situation using one of these sentences.
Okay. For these data, blank increases, blank tends to increase. Blank increase, something tends to decrease, and then one of them is not related. So let's look at the one that both increase. Which scatter plot would you classify as 2 things increasing?
Second one.
Why? Why would you say they're both increasing? You're right.
I'm not sure if I can explain. Because as the weight goes up, the price goes up.
Exactly right. You can see as the weight, and it's in carats, so I'm assuming that's diamonds, right? As our weight goes up, the price goes up. You can see it is increasing. So that is right on. That is the second one here. So let's write that one first. As the diamond weight increases, the price of the diamond tends to increase. Bigger diamond, more money. Okay, how about the second one? As something increases, blank decreases. Which one does that match up with? Zoe? Okay, fill in a blank for me then. As blank increases,
As the price increases, the mileage decreases.
yeah, normally we write this one first. So this is talking about a car. Okay, so as our car mileage increases, the more miles you have on your car, it is worth less. Okay, the value of the car, the price of the car goes down. Those of you, when you start driving, you want to save some money, you buy a car with lower or more miles on it. Okay, it's not as expensive. Obviously, a new car, 0 miles, is going to be probably out of your budget. That leaves only 2 left. Blank and blank do not appear to be related. Yeah, high temp and energy consumed. Now, I would actually argue that one a little bit. It is more scattered. Okay, and it might even one of these maybe doesn't even work. Maybe there is not one like that, because I would say that that one would also be an increase, because what happens in your house as the temperature goes up?
It's hotter.
Why would you be using more energy?
Because it's taking more energy to heat up more.
What are you running in the summer?
AC.
Yeah, that's using a lot of energy. If you have an air conditioning unit in your window or central air. So this one I actually have to say that I'm going to change this to increases on both. I don't like it. I don't think there's one that doesn't appear to be related. I think that's still increasing. Temperature is going up. Now it's not a nice line. It is more scattered. But as the temp goes up, you're going to use more energy. Even if you don't have AC units, I'm assuming you have fans or something running. That's going to use more energy. All right, interpreting slope. Anytime it says interpret, that means what does it mean? So for each of the following, a linear model for some data is shown. What is the slope for each situation? Okay. So what is the slope in the first problem? Well, the slope is always the number in front of the variable. Usually it's listed first. So our slope here is 5,520.619. Okay, now what does that mean in this problem? So you got to analyze what's being graphed. Remember, it's rise over run, so we're looking at the y's. What's graphed on the y's? And then what's graphed on the x's? Okay, so what's graphed on the y's? Price. So that is the amount of money. I'm going to round it. $5,520 per what? Per carat. Okay, so when you're looking at diamonds, you want a 2-carat diamond. You're looking at $11,000, roughly. Again, you can see some that are more expensive than that, probably more clear, better cut. Some that are lower, that is just an average. Okay, I would like you to do the next 2. What's the slope, and what does it mean in the problem? All right, Ian, what's the slope of the next one? Ian, the only way we won't be able to answer that is if you haven't been listening. It's the number in front of the x. What number is in front of the x? The number in front of the x. Negative 0.011.
Nice try.
Okay, now what does that mean in this problem?
It's the slope.
It is a slope, but what's it mean in this problem? You write down this is a slope, you're not going to get that right. We already answered that.
0.011 miles.
Yeah, and it's a negative, what's that mean? It's going down, right? So 0.011 miles per gallon decrease per kilogram. Okay, so every kilogram that gets added to your vehicle, you're losing fuel efficiency. Makes sense. Heavier it is, the more energy it takes to move it. Next one. 0.59, again, the number in front of the x. That is how much kilowatt energy is being used per degree Fahrenheit increase. Okay, question, the are you ready there, bottom of 58. I'm going to go to the next page, but the equation there is listed for you. What is the value of the slope? Sienna. Go ahead.
Negative 0.0114.
Again, it tells it to you in the problem. What's that mean? This is similar to one we just did, number 2 up there. That is miles per gallon decrease per kilogram. Okay, what's the other number mean? That's this one. Okay, well, the second number is so this is always your slope. This is your y-intercept. Okay, remember that means where it crosses the y-axis. When x is 0. Okay, when x is 0. So the other number means when x is 0, that means the weight is 0. 0 kilograms. I would get about 41.3 miles per gallon on this vehicle. Obviously, it'd be hard to make a car with a weight of 0. Okay, use the equation to predict the fuel efficiency of a car that weighs 100 kilograms. All right, we're going to use that equation that it gives us. And instead of x, it wants us to plug in 100. So you're going to need a calculator or Desmos for this. I guess you wouldn't need to. You could maybe do it by hand. I'm going to multiply and add it to this. And tell me what you get, please. Yes? 162? That would be miles per gallon. Okay, number 4. How about if it gives me the fuel efficiency? So that's my Y value now, so I'm going to use the same equation. Except plug it in for Y. And I'm solving for this X value. So you're going to take 22 minus this number, and then divide by this number that's in front of the X. 22 minus this number, divided by this. Somebody other than Sienna is going to have to give me this one, please. (22 minus 41.3021). Hit enter. Divide by negative 0.0114. Lucas.
Negative.
Nope. Ain't gonna be negative. What was your next number?
6.
No, I did something wrong. 22 minus. Claire, what do you got?
1,693.16.
Yeah, that sounds right. So you subtract and get that. Divide by negative 0.0114. About 1693, Claire, that's what you said. Kilograms. All right, so which one of those do you think is more likely out of those two we just mentioned? 100 kilogram car getting 40 miles to the gallon, or a 1,600 kilogram car getting 22 miles to the gallon? Which one do you think is better? Gabby, what do you think? Well, this is like, that's about 50 pounds. Been in many cars that are 50 pounds. So probably not very likely. Okay, this one, if you look, it's going to be pretty close to our graph up here. 1693, around 22 miles a gallon. So this is the one that is most likely. The other one doesn't really make sense. You can see that on the graph as well. Final question, number 4. Parker, would you read that one, please?
6.4 is for each of standard lots, decided whether it makes sense to put a linear model of data which does with a graphical model of positive slope and negative slope or slope of 0.
Okay. So 2 questions. Do you think a linear model would be good? Can a line represent the dots pretty well? And is it a positive, negative, or slope of 0? So A, do you think a line would be a good representation of those dots?
Yes.
Yes. So yes, a linear model would be good. And then would that be a positive slope, a negative slope, or a slope of 0? It's going down. I'm going to put a negative sign there. Or you just, of course, write negative. Okay, I would like you to answer the same questions for B, C, D, and E. Would a line work? And if so, what's the slope? Or you just say no and you move on to the next one. Addie Chase, what do you think for B? Yay or nay? No? You think they're pretty spread out? That's fine, if you can make an argument for that. I think it would be okay. I don't think it would be great. Obviously, A is better. I'm gonna say yes and positive to that one. If you say no, you just think they're too spread out, too scattered. To me, it looks like it's still trending up, so I'm gonna go with the yes. C? What do you think, Lucas?
I'd say no.
You think they're too spread out again? Again, I think I see a trend here. Looks like the dots are moving downward, so I'm gonna again say yes and negative. Now D
Yes.
is more spread out,
Say yes.
okay? I mean, those dots are super spread out,
I mean,
so I'm just gonna say no.
Good enough argument.
it could work.
I don't think you can argue on that one.
Yeah, like a straight, like a
E?
parallel line. Maybe. It's like a maybe to your point what you sort of is.
E, I'm gonna say yes, positive, and I am gonna make note, you know, these are all pretty good. I'm gonna say this is an outlier. Okay, one data point that was off, or somebody that wrote down a wrong number or something. Okay, or somebody just doesn't have their book ever, and then it becomes an outlier.
I have my book on a marker. Bro, what?
Yeah, well, maybe there's two
This
outliers.
is the first time I misplaced this book.
Yeah, we only got rid of the last
You
piece.
say you forget the
This is
lesson.
my last book.
Yeah,
I
the
only
second
got it
one.
twice.
The third book.
Question number 2 is very similar.
Second.
Parker, you'll be okay, I promise.
You're like, why?
Question number 2, very similar, positive association or
Can't forget this one.
negative. Gavin, which ones are positive associations?
Probably like B and E. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention, so.
No, I can't imagine.
I'll say like B and
What's that? Try again.
E. Probably say like,
B and E?
yeah,
Okay, negative?
A and C.
And no.
B.
Yeah, same thing we just answered. Positive slope, negative slope, they'll say association as well. No real difference there between them. Okay, good summary there. Again, if it tells you what is the slope, you should be able to find that pretty easily. Watch out for the second part. What does it mean in that problem? What are you graphing? What's being analyzed? Make sure you do that. All right, your assignment is 1 through 5. Okay, 1 through 5. 5 is a review, just a little hint there. You can start by just putting those two equations equal to each other. And then you're going to solve for x. First thing I would do would be to add 3x to both sides and then continue on from there. You're looking for the point where they cross. All right, go ahead and get rolling on that.